So we've done fungicide evaluation trials at the Yuma Agricultural Center since 1998. Basically, we run the trial the same way. We try to do it as consistently as we can from year to year so that we can compare the results that we get over a time period. We try to eliminate cultural variation as much as possible. The reason for doing this is first of all, if a new product is out there, to evaluate its innate efficacy, and then also long-term trying to use that information to develop disease management programs using products with different modes of action. This is basically how the trials are run. In early March, we plant the seed. Up until and including this year, we've used a cultivar top mark. It used to be quite easily available. Now it's very hard to find. And in fact, next year, unless some of you know a source of top mark, please talk to me later. We'll probably go to another cultivar. But we plant the seed, and we'll begin to apply the products mid-May, because usually in our area, the disease begins to develop later in May. So we try to put the first application on preventatively. And we do generally a pretty good job, except you'll see here in 2004 and this past year in 2010, by the time we went out there to put the first application on, the disease had already begun, which is not the best way to attack powdery mildew. What we'll do, again, the disease usually tends to appear by late May. By mid to late June, the crop is done, and at that time we'll do one and only disease rating by looking at the leaves in the various plots. We use this rating system. We'll look at the leaves both on the top and the bottom of the leaf surface, take a rating on both of those, and for purposes of what we'll talk about today, I've combined those ratings together. And that gives us a sense of how these treatments are helping to manage this disease. I just want to point out, John Palumbo early on was talking about zeroing out the disease. With disease control, we always like to see 100% disease control. Often, that's not achievable, and with powdery mildew, it's not necessarily required that you completely eliminate powdery mildew. Because the plants can tolerate a certain level of powdery mildew without sustaining yield loss. And I just wanted to point that out here, that a rating of 1, which is 80% disease control, if this is the level of powdery mildew you have at maturity of the crop, that's really not a problem. You're not going to sustain any yield loss. And even if you get out to this level here, rating of 2 or 60% disease control, at crop maturity, this is okay. Anything worse than this, you're going to be in trouble. And just for reference, this is a rating of 5. Basically, it's a white leaf. So these are the products that I listed early on. Now they're categorized with respect to the efficacy that we found over the years of testing. Just a little bit about this table. The number of trials that make up this average number over here is listed right here. And I've kind of color-coded these. Basically anything in green is that 80% and above, which we would consider excellent disease control, because again, you're not going to sustain any yield loss. Anything in yellow, and Jesse's here, we're talking about rally. Okay, this is 79 and this is 80. Obviously, even though this is color-coded yellow, this is still a good level of disease control, even though I marked it as yellow. So this is a continuum. But certainly when you get down to this area, you're getting to the bottom of which you would consider this effective disease control. Certainly anything when we get into the red category, which again was Bravo, in this case, it's not an effective product when it's used alone. All of this data was generated by using these products season-wide. This is not how you need to apply the products. I'm not here recommending that you do that. This is all just to develop an innate number for each of these products so that we can combine them within a disease management program. This is certainly not anything that you would want to do, apply one particular product season-wide. And then the biopesticides, the biological products that we looked at, under our conditions where we have very high levels of disease development, these did not perform very well. So we're moving on now to 2010. Again, I just wanted to show you, point out a couple of things. You remember I told you that 2010 we got into the plots late. The disease was already beginning to develop. And if you compare the average results, these are products that have been tested for several years. If you compare the average results over the time period that these were tested to what we achieved in 2010, you see in each case the 2010 values were much lower. And again, that's because we began this disease evaluation too late when the disease was already there. So this is a good example to show you that when you're dealing with powdery mildew, prevention is the key. You have to begin treatments before you actually see the disease. Because remember, a lot of these infections are actually developing. You don't see them yet, but they are already there. So it's something very important to keep in mind. The bottom materials here are materials that at least I looked at for the first year this past spring. Let's go from bottom up. In this case, we had 3 materials that again were in the lower level of the lower category of efficacy. These products right here, and 2 others that were in the moderate category. And I do want to point out, again, remember this entire set of numbers here were generated when we did not apply these products to the best of their ability. So I'm looking forward to looking at these again when we actually apply them preventatively, and I'm sure that all of these numbers are going to be much higher next year. Finally, we have 1 product, regardless of getting in there late, we actually achieved 100% disease control, true zeroing out. The product here, Torino, it's a product in development, it's a Gowan product, and I don't know too much more about it, except to say that it did perform very, very well. One other interesting thing here, this product right here, it's being looked at actively and will be registered as an insecticide. It's actually an insecticide. It has cross-activity managing powdery mildew. Donna, again, she talked about soil-borne diseases, and she has also worked on powdery mildew. And I guess just one pointed out that this Torino worked very well in her trials as well. Okay. So anyway, I just wanted to point out, 30 more seconds, these products that have very low activity or moderate activity, can they still be used in a disease management program and be effective? We did run trials to do that where we mixed, alternated, in other words, a strong product with a weaker product and strong product and weaker product. And basically the summary of this is that when you put the a product of moderate or low activity in with a disease management program using stronger materials, you will get high levels of disease control. So these materials, even though by themselves they may not work that well within a disease management program, they can be part of an effective disease control program. Keys to control: alternate your products, and prevention. You got to think about controlling powdery mildew as you would fire management. You don't wait until the fire is developing and then think about putting it out. You want to prevent it if at all possible. So when you're thinking about controlling powdery mildew, think about smoking there. Thank you.